The monetary system, fiat, is a Babylonian system, and it was created along with the Federal Reserve to enslave Americans.
No, the moon doesn't reflect the light from the sun. It has its own light, and it's way too bright for anyone to attempt to land, much less walk on a luminary. This was her prediction, triumphant you shall walk into the golden era. And then President Trump saying, we are going to launch a new golden age of American success. I hope you limbered up because that is a stretch. I just woke up from a dream. I got to meet DJT and ask him one question. He entered the room in a black suit. The suit started black at the top and faded into a picture by the pant legs. This is so like, it's 3 a.m. and I'm explaining my dream to you and you don't care because nobody cares about other people's dreams. Today's video is sponsored by Magic Spoon. If you've been here for a while, you'll already know that Magic Spoon make delicious cereals, treat bars, and now granola that have all the tasty, unique flavours of your favourite childhood cereal, but for grown-ups. Magic Spoon fits all kinds of dietary lifestyles. It's high protein, no sugar, great for the carb conscious. The cereal contains 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 sugar and 4 to 5 grams of net carbs in each serving. The treats contain 11 to 12 grams of protein, 1 gram of sugar, and 1 to 2 grams of net carbs. The treats are super good snacks for on the go. I talk about this all the time. Perfect if you're on the train, if you're commuting. My favourite thing about both the cereal and the treats is that they make a really good snack for me because they're actually filling. I often have a snack and think, I could eat 4 or 5 more snacks right now, but not after Magic Spoon. To try Magic Spoon treats or cereal today, click the link down below, scan my QR code, use code EmmaThorne, get $5 off today. Plus, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, they have a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Click that link, scan that code, get that $5 off. Thank you so much for listening, and to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. Hello lovely people, my name is Emma. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. Today we are going to talk about an online personality, let's call her, called Lair Lightner. I find it difficult to come up with a term for her specifically because she is the boss of a multi-level marketing company, but also what I would probably call an online prophetess, a conspiracy theorist, and just generally a worrying figure to have a public following. If you missed it, I recently did a video about her multi-level marketing company, Thorne Global. We had a little look at the other CEO, her co-CEO, and his hilariously dodgy marketing practices, plus a look at the unreasonably priced products. That's quite a hard thing to say. Plus a look at the unreasonably priced products, which have little scientific backing behind them. So if you are interested in that aspect of Lair Lightner's business life, maybe check that video out after this. Naturally, the conspiracy theorist, end times, prophecy, fundamentalist aspect of Lair Lightner's public persona kind of demanded that we make a video just on her, so let's take a look. Hello, welcome to my new computer angle. Sorry about that door, it doesn't currently close. I know it looks like a murderer is about to pop out of it. I will fix it. I wasn't totally sure where to start because if you start looking up Lair Lightner, she has about 50,000 websites. That may be hyperbole. So she has this little blog, Hello Beautiful, that has an All About Me page, so I thought that might be a good place to start. As a wife, homeschooling stay-at-home mom of 5 beautiful blessings, taxi, chef, doctor, philosopher, etc., my life is full of adventures every day. I believe that every day should be 2 words. Doesn't matter. Most of the adventures lead me to find another lost piece of my identity concealed deep within my heart. I've always felt that there was more to life than just making it through. After 5 blessings, I guess she exclusively refers to her children as blessings, 4 under 4 and in diapers, I lost all the pieces I have found along the way. I was left with thinking my identity was being a wife and mom. This can't be all there is to me, I reasoned. Who am I? What's in my heart? Why do I thrive around beauty? And my heart leaps for joy when experiencing something as simple as a sunset. A feeling like I am free, inside. My heart can breathe again as if it had been holding its oxygen all along. Did God make me like this? I wondered. I felt guilty for longing to let my heart be free once again. After all, the picture we have of a perfect woman is one that is always busy. TLDR, after her 5th child, Lair Lightner felt a longing for something more, / the simplicity of days past. It's not totally discernible exactly what she means because it is the kind of rambly philosophical thing that you come up with at 3 a.m, but it sounds nice enough. She has these beautiful children, but there's something missing, something a little lost along the way. I'm sure a lot of women feel like that. Favourite quote, she is to be a homekeeper. After all, women are supposed to just be a wife and a mom, and is that all I am? Her favourite quote is a bit about how she's supposed to just be a homekeeper. That's her place of employment. That's where she should pour her life. For a mother to get a job outside the home and send the children to some kind of daycare place is to shirk her God-given responsibility. John MacArthur. That's lovely. And then there's some nice pictures of her family, which I won't share with you because it has children in it, obviously. Proverbs 31, Deuteronomy 6:6-7, store. Alright, hold on. I've got to find the new Bible shelf. Make sure we don't get the Trump Bible by mistake. We'll start with Deuteronomy. See if we can get a handle on why these particular passages are on the store link. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise. I feel like the crucial context of the couple of sentences before, about the Lord is one, might be kind of missing there, but fair enough. And then Proverbs 31. So she's just put Proverbs 31, but I'm guessing she means from 10, because that's the woman who fears the Lord. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days in her life. She seeks wool and flax, very important for a modern wife, and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant, she brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night, and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. The woman who fears the Lord, it's a long proverb about how to be a good woman and a good wife, you never sleep, because you're always working. And making wise choices and supporting your husband all the time. There's like nice things in that proverb, obviously, but she wakes up when it's dark and she's still working away at night is kind of funny. Those are just sort of generic... Oh, sorry, that page doesn't seem to exist. I guess this store doesn't exist anymore. How disappointing. Those are kind of generic passages. I'm not totally sure why you would put them on your store link. So I think this is quite an old blog, and that's why a lot of the links are dead. But it gives us a little insight into Lair Lightner's journey and how she's feeling. This is one of my favourite posts that I've seen of hers. It's a Facebook post by Lair Lightner explaining how men cannot have landed on the moon. I just thought we'd include this for a bit of levity. Man simply cannot land on the moon. He would be blinded. The moon has its own light. No, the moon doesn't reflect the light from the sun. It has its own light, and it's way too bright for anyone to attempt to land, much less walk on a luminary. Black square, white square with a black border, black square, white square with a black border, black square, white square with a light border. The fourth day, sun, moon, and stars. She also has this YouTube channel, Lair Lightner, which I don't think she's used for a long time. Do you see what I mean? When it's like, I think she's kind of just made lots of social media and has just stuck with the ones that work. And the ones that work evidently are a Telegram, which is a little concerning, Jesus-loving kingdom family, helping bring the kingdom of light to earth in the midst of the darkness. We share family vlogs that deal with faith, homeschooling, decor, fashion, prepping, etc. Uh-oh. Yeah, the last video was 5 years ago. Family vacation and welcome to our channel. They're all just set to music. I was hoping I could find a video with her speaking so that I could badly imitate her accent. Because I find that fun. Maybe there's a video on her Instagram. Here's her Instagram. While we're on her Instagram, let's talk about this, because I said that I would in the previous video, the Theon Global video. This is something that Lair shared. This certificate, Harvard Medical School, Executive Education, acknowledges that Lair Lightner has completed health and wellness, designing a sustainable nutrition plan. I think it's telling that the comments on this post have been limited. I looked this up. It is what it basically says. It is an accessible, affordable, part-time, distance learning nutrition course. Anyone can do it. Anyone can complete it and get this certificate. It's not a qualification. I suspect it attracts a lot of people who do nutrition like MLMs. Just a friendly reminder, if you've been here for a while, I apologise, you've probably heard me say this before. Dietitian, protected term, nutritionist, anybody can use it. To quote Dara O'Brien, dietitian is like dentist, nutritionist is like toothologist. You can be very well studied and expert and give a lot of correct advice about nutrition as a nutritionist, of course you can, but it's not a protected term, so that means that you could also be somebody with absolutely zero expertise, and there's nothing to say that those two radically different people can't both be called a nutritionist. I did contact Harvard Medical School to ask if they knew that people were using their this short course certificate to advertise, supplements and products that don't have a lot of scientific backing, etc., etc. Unsurprisingly, probably they never got back to me. So I think probably they don't care because it makes money, and that's capitalism. So whatever, there we go. But yeah, so if you see a certificate like that on anyone selling particularly a multi-level marketing company product, now you know. And here's a post with Alpha Bios, which is a Theon Global product. Reminder that this is a company that Lair Lightner co-owns. She's not just an MLM shill, although she does shill for it. You can make her commission by buying through her or working under her, but she's also the co-owner of this product. Doing a really generic, fulvic acid is great, not saying the name of the company, which is funny because she owns it. Hey, look, there's our fella. Oh, look, there's the proverb that she linked. She considers a field and buys it. That is the most important part of that proverb. Let's take a look at Lair Lightner's most frightening website. This is called The Throne Room, which is her prophecy website. Welcome to the Throne Room. For God speaks again and again. Oh, you can subscribe for prophetic updates. For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams, in visions of the night. When deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds, he whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warnings. Yeah, Job would say that. He did a fair old job terrifying Job. So we have the archive, the prophetic vault, Lair's testimony, and the live prophetic feed. Here's Lair's testimony, aka why she believes that she is a prophetess. I was born and raised in Cuba. My mom couldn't have kids. She tried for 6 years before getting pregnant with me. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was born into chaos and conflict. I started seeing physiologists from age 3. I suffered from kidney failure for most of my childhood, so I spent it in and out of hospitals. I couldn't ride a bike or run for years. I suffered from severe asthma. I was molested as a child, abused. I started going to an underground church when I was 6. Dreadful that she had a hard start in life. My sympathies go out to her and to all who experience such things. I do wonder how she came to go to an underground church at 6 years old. With her family, we hope? We presume? Fell in love with this man whom they call Jesus. Would it be whom there? I feel like that would be who. I started having dreams and visions when I was 6. Coincidentally, at the same time she started going to this underground church, which would probably fill her mind with that sort of thing, and then she would dream about it. Had frequent dreams where he told me, I have something for you to do that no one else can do. With the greatest respect to Lair Lightner, anyone can do what she does. Sells beauty products, has vivid dreams. Anyone could do that. Didn't that bit in Job mean that God speaks to people all the time in dreams? Why is this something that only she can do? I came to this country on a boat with just a backpack on. My dad was a political refugee. He worked for Castro in his youth. I was severely bullied in this country. Had a child out of wedlock at 18. Hashtag fornicator. We love that biblical self-loathing. Had 3 abortions. Hashtag murderer. It's not murder. It's actually literally, definitionally not murder. Whatever your views on abortion, having an abortion is not murder, categorically. Lost my dad at 19. Then, someone invited back to church. I had not been since I was 10 and came to this country. I bowed my knees before my Creator that night and gave my life to him. God started to work in my life. I feel like it's quite common for people with this sort of delusion to have an unfortunate history, an unfortunate start in life, some trauma. She got married. God gave me this massive platform. I don't know what her Telegram seems to be her biggest platform. I don't know that God gave that to her. God gave me this massive platform to impact the world with his truth as I started to share the gospel and to minister to suicidal teens online in 2009. I hope that helped them. I had several people tell me I had a prophetic gift and mantle on my life. I just knew things, and being discipled in a Baptist church when I was 19, a prophetic gift is not something I wanted. The Reluctant Messiah. Seen this one before. I wouldn't prophesy. I would just post things I knew, and they would come to pass. In 2019, I went to a Jesus 19 conference, where I had an encounter with the Lord, and he confirmed my calling once again through 3 different people and an experience there. I finally said yes to my calling, and started to trust the Lord in my gifting. I prophesied many things that have come to pass, and many that will soon, all glory to King Jesus. and then a passage from Isaiah. That's Lair Lightner's story. That's how she came to believe that she is a prophetess. I bring this up quite a lot because it is the most relevant personal experience that I have, and I acknowledge that it is personal experience and anecdotal to me. Therefore, that doesn't mean very much, but I feel it's relevant to share my personal experience with this. In my life, I have known several people with disorders of the mind of various kinds. All of those people have experienced quite severe conspiracy thinking. They have all seen signs and symbols that absolutely confirm whatever they were already predisposed to believe, whether that was religious or not. One of these people had a converting religious experience. Before that, their experiences were explained by poltergeists and other such things. One trait that resonates with me, especially with people like Lair, prophesying, and psychics and things like that, the ability to accurately predict things. In my musings, because I'm not a trained professional, but I did read a lot around the topic because I was trying to understand my own life and experiences, this one person's constantly fulfilled predictions, accurate predictions, read more like a narcissistic trait to me. Before they became religious, all of their predictions were just a mark of their intelligence, of their deep understanding of the world. Before it was a religious understanding, a spiritual understanding. When it came to politics, the news, it would be a constant stream of, I said exactly that was going to happen, didn't I? 2 years ago, I said to so-and-so that exactly this was going to happen, and here it is. Aren't I the centre of the universe? I'm not saying that's what Lair Lightner is like. There can be lots of reasons for this, but I suspect most of the time when people believe that they have some future sight, some prophesying ability, some psychic ability, it is a mix of genuine coincidence, déjà vu, which is something we all, as far as I'm aware, we all experience, consciously or not, changing the narrative after the fact. This is what I believe to be the more sort of narcissistic approach. Sort of assuming, convincing yourself, being convinced that you must have predicted this correctly in the past, when it comes to pass, whatever the outcome is. Or, as people do with a lot of biblical prophecy, manipulating and changing the interpretation of the prophecy so that it can be perceived as accurate, as coming to pass. So what we have here is a list of Lair Lightner's prophecies fulfilled. I think these can all probably be explained by the list that I just gave you. So she predicted the Great Awakening. She predicted Trump winning the second term, national lockdown. That's the sort of thing I can imagine you would predict after other countries had already gone into national lockdown. Roe v. Wade overturned. Invasion declared planned at US border. That one came to pass. And then stuff like Elon Twitter, Johnny Depp trial outcome. So not all of these things fucking matter. Obviously that trial mattered to the people involved, but for us peons, the God-following people of the world that are looking for important prophecies, aren't gonna care about the outcome of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Golden era/age. She says she predicted the Trump assassination attempt. This is her golden age prediction evidence. This was her prediction. Triumphant, you shall walk into the golden era. And then President Trump saying, we are going to launch a new golden age of American success. Man, that's a stretch. Jesus, I hope you limbered up because that is a stretch. I had a dream last night. Trump won and the media announced it. The world was stunned that they announced him as president. They thought they would steal it again. So she's big into Trump. If you couldn't tell from this, she's huge into Trump. So if we have a look at the prophetic feed, here's the most recent one. DJT, Donald John Trump, is the storm. This is from the 1st to the 15th. No, wait. This is from the 15th of January. American dates go the other way around. It's from the 15th of January, 2025. I just woke up from a dream. I got to meet DJT and ask him one question. He entered the room in a black suit. The suit started black at the top and faded into a picture by the pant legs. This is so like, it's 3 a.m. and I'm explaining my dream to you and you don't care because nobody cares about other people's dreams. Flynn was among them, right behind DJT, so I knew he had an important role. The jacket had what looked like raindrops painted or printed to look like a storm. He sat in a chair and looked into my eyes with such joy and smiled. Immediately I realized, he is the storm. I don't mean to be rude, I just think for the sake of the coming king who helps usher in a new world or whatever, I'd kind of imagine him being younger and less orange. He realized I got it and smiled even bigger. As I looked into his eyes, the Lord said, "You're looking at the king of the Northern Alliance. He's the king of the North." No way, Sansa's queen of the North. Back off, Trump. My eyes watered because of what this man had done. He had done it. He says to me, ask me anything. So according to the dream, I just, threw coffee all over myself. I tried to do a Trump, and it started so badly that my coffee just flew out of my mug all over me. She knows she has one question to ask Donald J. Trump, the oncoming storm about, the end times. And she says, were the assets of the globalists confiscated already? Or is that to come? What the fuck does that even mean? That's just a series of conspiracy theorist buzzwords lined up one after the other. He smiled at me as if it had already been done, and I woke up. See, I think this could be real because it's very telling to me that Trump doesn't say anything in the dream, because in real life, he talks like a toddler. He talks like a toddler who's been raised by a chimp.
Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen.
It kind of ruined the prophetic moment if Trump started speaking. So, that could be a sign that this is legit. My favourite bit of this whole prophecy is definitely the. So that's Lair Lightner's general prophetic vibe. We're now going to move on to talk about something a little more sensitive. So this is a trigger warning for anyone who doesn't want to listen to conversations about deaths, particularly of family members, of younger people. Skip this part. Look after yourselves. And I'm going to try and be as delicate and compassionate as I can be because this is a really terrible situation. One of Lair Lightner's children, one of her older children, Frankie, who's 21, he died sadly in a motorcycle accident. He was critically injured, he was put on a ventilator, the ventilator was later withdrawn and he passed away. My sympathies and my heart goes out to Lair Lightner and her whole family because that is a really awful thing to deal with. And anyone who has experienced anything similar, I am so sorry for you. Grief is a terrible, terrible thing. Grief can also make you go a little weird. It can make you feel and behave in ways that you wouldn't usually, because your brain just isn't functioning the way that it usually does. I had my own experience with grief not too long ago, and it was a very bizarre time for me. It was the first time since I'd been a teenager and been extremely depressed that I had just no feeling at all, which is not like me. I'm a crier. This is all to say grief can make you behave in a strange way, and I don't want to criticize or condemn anyone for behaving weirdly when they're in a weird emotional state, because that happens to everyone. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. The reason that I want to talk about this is because I think that if you have some particular mental health challenges, particularly if you have some undiagnosed problem that is potentially going undiagnosed because you're reading it as spiritual, which I worry about a lot when we look at people like this, those dramatic events can affect you much worse. And really the point of this whole exercise, for me, is to bring awareness to this problem. Fundamentalism is very appealing for people who are struggling in particular ways, and it can manipulate them into believing and feeling and thinking weirder and worse and more dangerous things. So, Lair Lightner's son, Frankie, passed away. Her initial response was not a traditional grieving response. This is all publicly posted, incidentally. I'm not digging around in her private affairs. This was all put out into the public sphere, which I also think is a mistake when you're grieving. She believed that her son would be resurrected, and she and her whole family were praying for that to come to pass. So here are some of her Facebook posts about it. Unless Jesus himself tells me something different, I expect a resurrection. Period. There isn't a single what if it doesn't happen. I have zero plans in place for that. There is no plan B. There's plan R only. Resurrection. If it happens tomorrow or in 10 days, it matters not to me. I will stand until I'm given different instructions. I don't live by feelings or sight. I live by faith. My commander is the only one I take orders from. Until he speaks anything different, there's only resurrection. Do you have enough faith to lay hands on your dead son for 6 days, 12 hours a day with zero unbelief? That's next level wild faith. Emojis. I pray the Lord raises your faith to that level. I think a lot of people, especially people who have gone through this or seen people go through this, I think a lot of us will look at that and see denial. Which, ironically, compared to what I was saying earlier, is actually a very common reaction to grief. It's to just deny the event for as long as possible. Here's a question from somebody else. Please, Lord, bring forth that boy. Lair, please forgive my one question. When Frankie is risen, how will he get out of the morgue with no one there to receive him? People were genuinely concerned about the logistics of this young man rising from the dead. Isn't that some proof of faith? To be there in expectation? Or do we ask for more proof from God in having Frankie's human body to not only wake up, but emerge and make it out after all these days of the body being still? Yes, we know God is able, but do we ask for even more after he has already seen a reason or need for your child in his heavenly realm? Please don't be upset with my ignorance and forgive my questions. If God can raise the dead, he can tell Frankie to use the phone at the morgue or open the doors like he did for Paul in that prison. Winky face. Hard in denial. I know exactly what she was feeling in that moment because I think she was feeling the nothing, the flatness that I was feeling. I can't be that bad, or I'm a terrible person either way because I don't feel anything about this. I've done all the faith things required. This isn't my show or me showing God my faith. God knows my faith as he sees my heart. This is on him now. See, my conundrum as a prophet is that I know my God and his voice. And if I got it wrong and I don't know, I'm up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, and that is much worse than my boy in heaven. I can be okay with my boy in heaven. I will cry, it will hurt. What I'm not okay with is getting the voice of my God wrong for 6 days. I will lose my entire damn mind. And that is why I wish these kind of extreme delusional beliefs, like her being a prophetess and having these visions, were taken more seriously. I wish there was better education on how your mental health and different afflictions can affect you, on a history of the people who have had religious delusions and clearly been wrong, the various people who have believed they were Jesus Christ resurrected over years. Some education, early years, to make people aware that these kind of thoughts can happen to anyone. It doesn't mean you're crazy, it doesn't mean there's something inherently wrong with you, it's just something that can happen to people, and it might mean that those experiences you have aren't real. So it seems like after the fact Lair was in fact able to recover and not lose her faith in herself as a prophetess, despite those earlier posts that said she was 100% sure she would lose her mind if it turned out she'd been hearing God wrong. Probably predictably for most people, she said that her son, Frankie, had decided to stay in heaven with Jesus, and that actually she had anticipated that, and it doesn't seem on the outside to have affected her overall belief in her own ability to prophesize. I only hope that coming to that conclusion has allowed the family to grieve normally now.
Been prophesying an economic crash worse than the one in the 1920s, and I believe that we are at the door of that crash, and you guys need to understand that that has to happen. That crash has to happen because the monetary system, fiat, is a Babylonian system, and it was created along with the Federal Reserve to enslave Americans.
Just a slice of Lair's prophesying. If you took out the religious terminology, the references to Babylon and things, it is indistinguishable from a lot of New World Order conspiracy theories. It's all cut from the same cloth, baby. I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but when I read about Lair Lightner and her prophesying and her family issues and things like that, it made me think of a documentary I saw not too long ago with a woman who also, a wife and a homemaker who had quite fundamentalist religious views, who also believed that she could prophesy. She met this man who believed or pretended to believe that he could prophesy. Long story short, that had a really awful outcome. I'm not saying that Lair Lightner would ever do anything physically harmful. I'm not saying that's an inevitable outcome of this sort of thing, but I feel like we don't have any prevention system in place for this sort of thing. We only have the shock aftermath. When it comes to religious cults, these fringe extreme beliefs, these extreme delusions, it feels like the impetus to say something, to do something, to analyze it only ever comes after something terrible has happened. I suspect a lot more people were only talking about Lair Lightner like we are since the tragedy happened in her life. I just wish for a world where there is enough education in place, where medicine and mental health resources are accessible enough, that we can catch some of these extreme states early on. It's going to be very different and very difficult to try and tackle a delusion, if you're able to get to that point, that you have been living with and revolving your life around for like 20, 30 years, than if some intervention can happen earlier. I would just like as many people as possible to know that you aren't weird or crazy or an idiot if you start to believe slightly unusual things, or you start to perceive unusual things happening around you. I want there to be an education system in place that lets you know that there could be something mental or physiological happening to you. It might not be. You could perceive it as a spiritual experience, and that's fine. But if people were aware that there's a chance it could be something else, and they could seek help, and at least rule it out, then I think we could prevent a lot of harm. That is Lair Lightner. She is not an outlier in the sense that there are many people like her. Again, we just tend to only hear about them after something absolutely terrible has happened. Do leave your thoughts down below, like this video if you enjoyed it. Remember to check out the other video on Thorne Global, the multi-level marketing company that Lair Lightner co-owns. If you like what I do here, do consider subscribing, leaving a comment. You can also check out my Patreon. With that, I must give a big old thank you and a shout out to my giant chickens and colossal quackers over on Patreon. Most importantly, have yourselves a very lovely week, look after yourselves, be kind to yourselves, and I will see you very soon.